And we are live. Welcome to the Political Orphans. My name is Nico and I am your in-house conservative. To my left, Rob Ambrose, our token liberal. Our goal is simple. We want to show you that it's possible for a lefty and a righty to not only get along, but to be able to have a civil conversation when we disagree. Because never forget, common sense has no political affiliations. What's going on, man?
What's going on, brother? How you doing today?
Oh man, it's one of those days. Let's just say that I am not happy with what I'm seeing out of Canada. I'm really fucking irritated by it. It's we spoke about in the past that we would address if the government was going after our rights and freedoms, and guess what? Bill C-2 that was introduced yesterday is exactly what it is. I read through it and it's fucking bullshit. What they're trying to pass is horrendous, and I'm really hoping that us digging into it today can wake people the fuck up, because man, if this isn't it, if this is true, if what I read the bill, we're going to go through the bill today. I found a bunch of videos at least introducing the bill. There's no information, like it just came out, right? So there's no legal information yet, but luckily, because of Cheryl and what's going on, Cheryl, I've reached out to lawyers out of Alberta that specializes in freedom and fighting for charter rights of Canadians. They responded to me already. I invited them on the show saying what it was about, and yeah, they responded. And the person I reached out to is the media. Is the person responsible for media.
What did they say to
that? Hold on, I got the actual email here just to give. They basically are saying, thank you for your email, Nico. I'll send this request to our team for review. Note that the HQ is in Calgary, so someone would likely be available today, later on this day. So, and I'm talking to somebody that's referred to, I'm not going to tell his name, but he's a content strategist. So basically, he's the one taking care of their social media, it seems like. So yeah, Cheryl, you know, Cheryl, I'm a sales guy by trade, and that's how I got to sell $1 million contracts, is by reaching out and talking to people. So all I need is indications. I don't have the time to always do all the research, and thank God we got smart listeners that can point me in the right direction. But man, it's, you know, when you have just by myself almost 200,000 followers, and it is indicated in my fucking signature how many followers and where to find me, that tends to interest people. So hopefully they get back to us. Hopefully they want to come on the show, because I want to do a deep dive into it today. But at the same time, we don't know much legally wise. I can just tell you what I'm reading and what the problematic I'm seeing.
Yep.
But let's see what a lawyer, what they say, and if it is as bad as I think, or maybe it's worse, because I don't claim to be a lawyer. I don't even play one on TV, right?
Yeah, and I was thinking, you know, when I saw that this was a topic there that you wanted to talk about, I was thinking we could probably just do this all the time. Like anytime there's any sort of a controversial bill whatsoever, we could just
100%.
That'll be the topic. We'll just do a deep dive. You know, if we can get an expert, we will. If not, we'll just talk about it and say what we think it is. But basically, if you're out there and you just want to know what the Canadian government's doing, what your government is doing, this would be it'd be good to make this the show to do it. A bill comes out that you don't know about, because a lot of stuff that they do is, you know, if you're really looking for it, you'll find it, but it's not front page news. If you're just living your life, you're not going to be aware of it. So it'd be, I think it'd be nice to provide that as a media service for this show.
That's definitely my goal. Like that is definitely, I'm interested in those things. I'm always looking.
Yeah, I am too.
I will read bills just for the sake of reading bills. But when you have mainstream media already addressing it, saying that it looks like it might be a problem for Canadians, you know that it's fucked. If mainstream media like CTV News is reporting on it, saying, we got an expert on the show right now telling us that it's problematic, you know there's something wrong. You know that there is something really fucking wrong. And it's probably worse than I think.
Yeah, I agree. And I think, I think 'cause some bills are just going to be like a bill to rename a park, and obviously we probably don't need a deep dive into that. But
Yeah.
anytime there is, certainly if it's making the mainstream media, especially if they're saying, "Guys, not sure this is a good bill," then yeah, it's definitely something we should probably dig into.
At the end of the day, most people don't want to listen to a lawyer. One of my buddies, when I first started creating content, he said I was a mix of Andrew Tate and Jordan Peterson. He's like, you sit somewhere in the middle. You're kind of douchey, like
Yeah,
Andrew Tate, but at the same time, you understand Jordan Peterson, and I like this stuff. I
yeah,
really love this stuff. And for more than a decade, all I did is take very technical concepts and explain them in layman's term to clients or prospect customers. So what's the fucking difference here?
question.
Most people don't want to listen to a fucking lawyer speak for an hour explaining a bill, but they will listen to a guy like me or to a guy like you that spoke to that lawyer
Yes, yeah,
and
yeah,
then
exactly.
explain it in our words. What the fuck
Make
does
it,
this
yeah,
mean?
jazz it up a little, make it interesting.
Make it interesting, make it entertaining. And I think this is one of the power of the show, at least when it comes to me. I do not, my emotions are real. I don't fake how I feel. And those bills really fuck with me. Like, I'm really irritated. Like, my wife sent that to me when she woke up, and I already saw it. And she's like, "Is this real?" I'm like, "Ugh, fuck, it looks like it is."
Yeah, and this
So,
is the Liberal government's basically their first bill, their first major thing that they're doing in this session of Parliament.
well, there's two things, all right? That's the first bill they introduce. But at the same time, so there's a couple of things going on today, and I'm hoping we can go through. There's only three of them that I wanted to touch on today.
Yep.
Obviously, I want to do a deep dive in Bill C-2, try to understand what the fuck are we looking at here.
Mhm.
But one of the other things that I wanted to look at is that today the MPs in Parliament will vote on the government speech from the throne. And one of the things
Okay.
that people don't understand is that this is a non-confidence motion. I have an article that
Oh
actually
yeah, yeah,
this
yeah,
is
yeah,
what
yeah.
most
That's
people
right.
don't understand. So I have an article that actually breaks it down easily, like in super easy term. And then there's something about the Bank of Canada that just came out that we should just mention.
Okay.
Uh,
Yeah, I'm just looking here at because it says Bill C-2, so I was wondering what is Bill C-1, and I just googled, and apparently Bill C-1 is just a formal, almost traditional bill that's passed. So C-2 is the official first real bill that the government's passed. So this is the first thing that they've done. So we'll
um, just so
oh,
you know,
Misfit.
Misfit
Yep.
saying that I think I noticed it on the recording yesterday. I think it's no, it's not your cable, it's the volume of
Oh,
your microphone. So I don't know if you have an external volume on it or you can adjust it in this, because yesterday when I was editing this morning, I could hear when you go up
okay.
on your voice, it kind of cracks a bit. So maybe see how my microphone's not directly in my mouth either. I think your microphone's better, so just step away from it a bit.
Yep. Is that a little better?
Oh yeah. This is, yes, it will allow for when you scream like a little cunt to actually not
Nah.
crackle. Exactly.
Gotcha.
What's going on, Misfit? By the way, it's been a couple of days since we saw you, but
Misfit,
he
how's it
says
going, brother?
anything the libs do is controversial unless you're the beneficiary, you're on the beneficiary side. Yeah. And even then, you know what? This is what's interesting, because this bill is praised as a solution to immigration and our security border, like our border security problems.
Mm-hmm.
And it's interesting because I have not seen one post from the left and from the right that is positive about that bill, unless you're a fucking MP on the liberal side. Because even immigration lawyers, immigration content creators are like, this is fucked up. You're taking rights away from refugees. Well, fuck off. Refugees don't have any rights.
Fuck's
Like, don't get me
sakes.
fucking started on this shit. But
uh,
it is, I have not seen anything positive of that bill unless it came from somebody that is a member of parliament on the liberal side. I have not heard anything from the conservatives, but this is, again, this kind of shows me that, and correct me if I'm wrong, if you guys out there have seen something coming out of the conservative camp, I haven't. I haven't seen anything right now that is saying, hey guys, what the fuck are the liberals doing? Because if I was a conservative, I would have been blue in the fucking face right after they read the bill
Well,
yesterday.
it kind of it's funny as you say that. I'm reminded like, where is Polyev? You think he'd want to be out there at least keeping himself in the public image? You would think he'd be out there going against this kind of stuff. Exactly.
Yeah,
So
100%.
it makes you wonder why what the strategy is there.
The more Polyev goes, the more I believe that he is just controlled opposition. That he was just there to lose and to bring Carney in to finish the job that Trudeau started.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, that's another, hopefully I get the time today or tomorrow, but there's a few speeches similar to David Bexty. There's 2 more speeches that I downloaded today from conservative MPs that spoke in Parliament last week. And the videos, it was either last week or this week. I have to dig into it, but people are like, oh Jesus, those guys are solid. So it seems that as much as I've been hating on conservatives, especially because of their leaders, it seems that there are MPs out there that are actually resonating, like their message is resonating with people. So I'm really curious. Like, I'm not gonna bash on somebody just because they're part of the Conservative Party or the Liberal Party or whatever. Like, just the 4 liberals that didn't show up to vote a couple of days ago speaks loudly. Like, I would praise those guys. I should find who they are and just say, high five, high five, high five, high five. Because we know what you did. You did it in a smart way. You were sick that day. And they knew that they would lose. Like, they knew that opened the door. 4 is about all they needed. They won by 2. So,
Yes. Yeah. That's right.
So let's start at the beginning. Actually, let me take Short Circuit's comment here. I just watched Net Zero Australia, pretty interesting documentary. It talks about renewable energy turbines, pipelines, etc. Seems to be bills passed to support this agenda. Yeah, that's most of the stuff that you see right now. As we had Judith Curie on the podcast a couple of months ago, and she made a very valid point. And if you're not supporting nuclear power or thermal energy, you're not really somebody that cares about the environment.
Yeah,
you're just join. Oh yeah, you have a bone to pick with oil and gas. That's all you're doing, and you should probably just join Greta Thunberg on her Free Palestine movement now and go fight Israel. Fucking ridiculous. Fucking twat. And stop eating the food that's meant for Palestine, okay?
Yeah, exactly. Greta, she ain't she's definitely not passing up seconds, that's for sure.
No. No, definitely.
She's taking multiple trips down below deck there for the
she's stealing from other people, probably.
Yeah. Oh yeah. That's right.
So this whole C-2
so once you
started with this morning, and it's the same thing that my wife sent me. So this morning, I wake up at like 3:00 in the morning. I normally sit in bed or on the couch, and I just I just look at my social just to see what the fuck's happening, to get an idea of what I missed since I go to bed at like 8:30 at night.
Yep.
This is one of the first posts I see. So we're Canada proud. Posted, the Carney Liberals have just introduced Bill C-2, the Strong Border Act. The law allows the Carney government to seize and read your mail for up to 60 days without due process or compensation, and track your online data without a warrant. The Carney Liberal power grab has begun. As I said multiple times, I follow them because they are quick on the news. Like, they are fucking quick. But they do a lot of clickbaity shit. Like, this has the clickbaity sound to it. But you know what's fucked up is that they're actually right. On this case, it is as bad, if not worse, than what they're saying right there. So what I figured is I wanted to show you that because that's the exact post my wife sent me, because they're massive. Like, for the people that don't follow We're Proud Canada, like, they're fucking massive. Like, just they probably have like 350,000, like 270,000 followers just on Instagram. That doesn't count what they have on X. So they're one of the biggest do they call themselves a news outlet? They are one of the, I would say that they're probably the biggest news reporting. I don't know how to fucking frame them, but content creators that talks against the government, the liberal government, that is, because they're conservatives, right?
Yeah, exactly. And yeah, there's so there's definitely a lot to this bill. Like some of it's, you know, it's like there's some cash transfer stuff. I think you're not allowed to bring more than $10,000 in cash across the border. That's, I mean, but that's
been a thing.
Yeah,
that's been a thing, though. That's been a thing on airports. You're not like, I traveled a lot, and you're not allowed to go over the border with like 10 grand in your pocket.
Yes, exactly.
I get it. I get it. Maybe I get it. I don't know.
There's so I'm reading some of the commentary here. There's a tweet here. This guy says Part 16 of this bill expands the same law the Liberals used in the Emergencies Act in order to crush the Freedom Convoy and freeze bank accounts. So there's an aspect of you know, they're framing it as terrorism or whatever, but of course they can make whatever they decide is terrorism. If they decide that the convoy is terrorism, then they can take your money, freeze your bank account, collect your information without your knowledge. So all of that stuff is in this bill too. So that's certainly concerning.
Let's go through it because the bill is not that long. So Cheryl posted it on the Discord server and I just went to read it. So I wanted to take the time today to spend most of the show just doing a deep dive on all the information that's out there. Let's review it, you and I, with our listeners, get the comments and try to see what makes sense, if I'm on crack here or you guys are seeing the same thing as I do. But before we do, I just wanted to remind you, if you're on X right now, make sure to like, make sure to comment, make sure to share the stream. But if you really want to be part of the conversation, like you see at the bottom right over there, you see comments and comments and comments. That's only available on YouTube. So follow us, subscribe on YouTube, go to YouTube at the Poli Orphans, join the conversation there. And if you think that what we're doing is something that is worth doing, that you want to encourage what we do have a subscription model. It's $2.99 a month. It's basically not even a cheap fucking coffee at Tim Hortons. And it's not going to be, we don't serve you in Indian. We will serve you as we are. So you'll get better service here than you do at Tim Hortons. But if you believe in what we're doing, subscribe, help us out, $2.99 a month. But it will give you access to the Discord server. So the conversation you're seeing right now goes on 24 hours a day on the Discord server. And as you see, some of the stuff that I'm going to be talking about today comes from Cheryl on the Discord server. So we will share the content that you provide us over there, but it allows you to maybe not get a divorce. You know, maybe your significant other is tired of hearing you talk about politics. So come talk about politics with us.
That's what we're here for. We're a lot cheaper than therapy. And it's funny, you mentioned, and we promise you can buy us a coffee here, and you won't show up one day and we'll be replaced by Indian foreign exchange workers, and Indian temp workers.
No, that is a fucking promise.
Yeah. All right, so let's.
I just get very tan though. I just get very tan during the summer.
I swear, it's me, Nico. It's
sure? I'm a swear. Yeah,
I'm a swear. Right? Yeah.
Oh shit! And there you go, Misfits at it. You speak English. That's why we get better service here.
Exactly.
Fuck, man, the bar is low. Jesus, the bar is low.
It is low. But
so the post from We're Proud Canada is the one that got this whole started here. We're Canada Proud, sorry. And then if you understand how bills are introduced, or if you don't, I found a great video, by the way. I'm going to share like a 5-minute video that explains how bills become law. Because the bill we're going to be talking about today is not law right now. It's just, it was introduced yesterday. The first step was for the public minister to read the bill, introduce the bill, let us know what the bill is all about. And this is the video that we're seeing right here. So here is our, what's his title? He is our safety minister, and that was him introducing the bill. And I'm not going to try to say his name because he clearly is Indian and his name is 30 syllables long. I don't want to bastardize it, but here's our safety minister introducing Bill C-2, the Strong Border Act, yesterday.
This morning,
Mad
I
Dog?
introduced Bill C-2, the Strong Borders Act. With this new legislation, we'll ensure Canada has the right tools to keep our borders secure, combat transnational organized crime and fentanyl, and disrupt illicit financing. The bill updates existing laws to bolster our response to national and economic security threats while enhancing the integrity and fairness of our immigration system. Among some of the key changes are new powers for border officers to examine goods destined for export to prevent the transport of illegal goods, such as stolen vehicles. Law enforcement and intelligence agencies will also have some new tools to stop the flow of fentanyl and its precursors. By investing in advanced technology, by supporting our border personnel and law enforcement, we'll be able to better prevent illegal cross-border activity. We will do so while protecting charter rights of Canadians, safeguarding their privacy, and ensuring due process.
While crushing other charter rights.
You know, up to now, it sounds great. Like,
Well, yeah.
you know, up to now, you're listening to him. You're like, oh yeah. Fucking love it. You know what, bro? Abso-fucking-lutely. Let's
Against
do this.
who could have a problem with being against fentanyl or terrorism? But of course, the devil's in
Giving
the
the
detail.
tool to our TFSA agents so that their or CBSA, sorry, in Canada, to be able to stop the influx of fentanyl leaving Canada going to the US. We don't want our stolen cars to end up in the US. You know what? Fuck yeah, it seems right up to now, right? Everything's
Yes.
kosher up to now.
Sounds good so far.
These measures, Canada will continue to work with our U.S. partners to ensure that
Beautiful.
our border remains secure
Better.
while we continue to manage the
He went full Indian for a second there. Sorry.
Border.
Border.
Border is secure. The border is secure.
legitimate and efficient movement of people and goods between our countries. The additional measures we're taking today to further secure Canada's border will help sustain the security and economic partnership for many years to come. To be truly strong, Canada must be secure. That is why I'm asking all parties to come together to support this very important legislation. Bill C-2 will help make our borders even stronger and keep Canadians safe.
You know,
Sounds great.
when you're just listening to that, you're like, oh yeah. That you know what, bro? No problem. I like it. And if that's where you stop, awesome. We're all golden. We're all good. And you know, you said this in a podcast recently where most people stop there, right? Most
Yeah.
people think that Carney is a good politician because he stands for something. He seems confident in
The
his.
appearance, at least, if you don't dig too much
Exactly.
into it.
But when you start digging into Mark Carney, you start seeing that, oh, Jesus, he doesn't like reporters. He doesn't like women. He doesn't like to be questioned. He doesn't like when you put his words, when you question it. Let's just call it that. He doesn't like to be questioned. He's very cocky. He thinks very highly of himself. And he doesn't like when people doubt what he's saying. Don't believe every word that he's saying.
He expects immediate acceptance of everything he says, and he takes it personal when you don't, especially if you're a woman, it seems like.
So looking at this video, this is kind of what I had in mind today, right? I was looking at this video and I kind of, okay, you know what, Nico, let's do this. Let's just look at what's out there and see if we can make sense of it. Because if that's all you see, people are probably like, oh yeah, you know what? That's a good bill.
No
I want
problem.
to feel sick. I want to feel secure because we keep on talking about fentanyl. We keep on talking about our borders. We want to do trade with the US, and that's what Trump is asking for. Okay, cool. Up to now, all makes sense. Now, I found a video from CTV News. This is the first thing I found this morning, and there's not a lot right now. There's really not a lot out there because I think it will take time for people to digest and investigate what it actually means. Plus CTV News, considering that they're on the payroll of the Liberal Party, they need to be very fucking careful about what they're saying. CBC, same thing. But here's a video that was released by CTV News talking about Bill C-2, and the actual title of the video was "New Bill Sparks Civil Liberty Fears." So Here's the
All right, let's see
video
what they have to
from
say.
CTV News.
With this new legislation,
Oops.
will ensure Canada has
Of
the right
course.
No,
tools.
that's this. Yeah, this guy.
Yeah, I know. It's just, it's a shame it doesn't allow me to do multiple different things. Either way, here's the video.
With this new legislation, will ensure Canada has the right tools to keep our borders secure, combat transnational organized crime, and fentanyl.
The
and
same part as we just
disrupt
watched.
illicit financing.
The new public safety minister tables his first major legislation, Bill C-2, aimed at border security but with far-reaching implications. If passed, C-2 gives CBSA officers more powers to search export warehouses, make it easier for law enforcement to pass sex offender information to American authorities, and restrict large cash transactions, which the government believes is chiefly used for international crime.
This is about delivering a win for Canada and ensuring that our borders are safer, our communities are safer, and of course, we're responding to some of the concerns that have been posed by the White House.
There's also an overhaul of the refugee and asylum process, dropping inactive cases from the system, making deportations immediate, and allowing the government to cancel immigration documents immediately, and an expansion of police and border officer powers. Electronic service providers would be required to provide certain information to police without a warrant, and the government says to fight fentanyl trafficking, C-2.
Did you hear what he just said there? Like, I'm just
Yeah,
gonna
let's rewind that again.
part just so
Yeah.
that you hear it clearly, so that it's we're talking about CTV News here. We're not talking about a conspiracy right-wing channel here. We're talking government-sponsored CTV News. Listen to this.
Expansion of police and border officer powers. Electronic service providers would be required to provide certain information to police without a warrant, and the government says.
And did you notice that I come from that world? They're called internet service providers. They did not use internet service providers. Those are the Bell, the Rogers, the Telus of this world, right?
Yep.
They did not use. I just caught it now. I didn't catch it when I listened to it earlier. They said electronic service provider as they're showing a cell phone browsing social media.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
We're not
Yeah,
talking about just an internet service provider, because an internet service provider does not have, see right here. So an internet service provider does not have access to what's behind a firewall. They can tell you that you're on a specific website and where you've been and what you've been looking for, but they can't tell you what you're posting.
Yes.
Now,
Yeah.
and see how they mentioned it, electronic service provider. That means, what are we talking about here? Are we talking about internet service provider? Are we talking about Apple, Samsung, Google? Are we talking about Facebook, Meta, TikTok, X? What the fuck are we talking about? Because electronic means anything that is not physical. That means that anything that's online. That means the TV on my, you know, the new TVs, they have cameras. Does that mean that now the government is allowed to hack my TV or to ask Samsung for my camera in order to see what I'm doing? They said electronic service provider. I did not catch that the first time. This is fucking even scarier than I thought. That's fucked.
Yeah, no, that it's funny because like as we're going this, I'm also on another screen skimming the bill, and yeah, once we get, there's some other things in connection with that this whole thing is fucked. That people are not gonna be impressed by this on this show.
I want the bill is not that long. It's only about 7 pages long, so I want to go through you and I page section by section.
Yep.
And take it from there. But let's finish again. Keep in mind the logo's right there. This is fucking CTV News. This ain't Juno or Rebel News here. This is CTV News that's reporting on this.
Information to police without a warrant, and the government says to fight fentanyl trafficking, C-2 would remove restrictions on police opening mail.
In a free and democratic society,
did you hear that?
Remove
Again,
restrictions.
I'm gonna replay that again in hopes to fight fentanyl.
Yeah, they're gonna look at your mail, read your mail without a warrant.
Fight fentanyl trafficking, C-2 would remove restrictions on police opening mail.
Remember what I said earlier, right? It was reported the law allows the Carney government to seize and read your mail for up to 60 days without due process. or compensation and track your online data without a warrant. This is the post that was made by We're Canada Proud that often is clickbaity. In this case, ding, 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 they're bang on. They're fucking bang on. And even CTV News is confirming this.
Yeah. No, this is wild.
Now we have the most looking, if Karen had a picture, like next to definition in the dictionary, that woman would be it, and listen to what she has to say about this.
Free and democratic society, we are not supposed to be under government observation. And if there is going to be a search of something private, police should have to show a reasonable cause to a judge. I'm not saying that you should never be able to search if you have appropriate court orders, but I really dislike the idea of leaving this in the hands of individual police officers.
The BC Civil Liberties Association, in a statement to City News, says C-2 is a sprawling omnibus bill which would increase the powers of law enforcement agencies that have no civilian oversight, allow police to open Canadians' mail, and subject electronic service providers to secret orders about sharing information with the state, adding that the bill is so broad it could affect people even if they never cross the border. However, Public Safety Minister Gary Anandasanguri,
I love his answer.
Human rights attorney, says
he has
no concerns.
I fundamentally believe that we have strike the balance, that while expanding powers in certain instances,
as long as you believe it,
safeguards and the protections in place to protect individual freedoms and rights.
You know the expression, if you are ready to give up your liberty in search of security, you deserve neither.
Yeah.
So let's take a few of the comments that are there, because Detective Gain is saying that the bill is 140 pages long. Agreed. I might have misspoke.
There's some parts we can zero in on though that are much smaller.
But it's just, if you look at what is posted on the government website, it goes over the main points, and just the main points are fucking worrisome. So yes, the bill is probably this fucking thick. That's always what they do. They always pass a bill and they have a bunch of shit stack in it that might not have anything to do with the original bill itself.
There's a summary at the top.
Of course. But that's why you don't have lawyers, you don't have legal experts that have provided their opinions on it yet, because that was dropped yesterday evening. And if it is indeed 100 pages long, and I think you're right, they haven't gone through all of it with all of the implication yet. That's why I started reaching out to lawyers already, because I want to be the first show that they show up on.
Yep.
And Joe Stradamus is saying that is exactly what I was thinking this morning. Joe Stradamus is saying that it sounds like our Patriot Act, making it official that you have no right to privacy, nor are you protected from self-immigration. And you know what? So basically, this is what I'm seeing, and you'll see, we'll review the main bullets of the bill itself, but it's actually brilliant what they're trying to do. They're using our immigration problem, which everybody has an opinion in Canada on our immigration policies. We all have an opinion. We're all either for it or really fucking against it. And they're using the fact that everybody talks about immigration, and they're using the fact that we need to secure our borders, not only because that's the right thing to do, but that's also what Trump is requiring us to do, which, if you just take it for what it is, it sounds like a great idea. But then they're putting a bunch of shit in there that has nothing to do with it. That is just like, hey, whoa, what the fuck are we talking about here?
There's when things are like, they're called eponymous laws, like Poe's law or Murphy's law or whatever, it'll say something's law. There's another one, I forget what it is, but it's the word for how oftentimes actual laws are always, usually the name of the law is the opposite of what it actually does. Like, for example, the Affordable Care Act often makes healthcare unaffordable. The Right to Work Act actually removes the right to work. So that kind of thing. So I feel like a little bit of that is going on with this as well. Mad Dog says
I was going to click on the exact same comment that I agree with you 100%.
At the same time, that's why it didn't pop up. He says this is similar in the way 9/11 took away rights. When you lose 100%. Your rights, you may never get them back. Yeah, and what's kind of like shocking to me is, like, obviously the Patriot Act was an extreme overreach, but at least there was kind of a reason why they did it. 9/11 had just happened. People were furious. They wanted something. Like, what is justification for this? You know, this is just, it doesn't even trying. It's like just putting it out there, you know, trampling your rights. What does fentanyl have to do with you know, removing your basic civil rights? You know, allowing cops to do warrantless search and seizures of your electronic information and your mail. I don't know what that has to do with fentanyl or anything that this bill is trying to supposedly trying to stop.
Think about this. The liberals are responsible for all the policies that they're going after with this bill.
Yeah.
So
right?
basically,
They created the
a
immigration problem. They created the fentanyl problem.
and now they're selling us a solution. That doesn't sound like big pharma at all, does it?
Well, and a solution that also, you know, tramples our. It's funny, in the middle of that, at the beginning of that speech that he gave there, he actually said, this enhances our charter rights or something. And like, no, it doesn't. It doesn't do that at all.
Let's talk about that.
Yeah, it
That's
doesn't.
that is yes, but you know, as Karl Marx said, accuse your opposition of doing what you're doing as you're doing it to create confusion. This is all I'm hearing here. Use the fact that people are talking about immigration to put in a law that will take your rights away. But all in the name of immigration. It's because we have an immigration problem. We need to deal with it. Yeah, sure. Cool stuff,
Yeah.
bro. So here is the, I guess we would call it the resume of what was introduced yesterday, the Strong Border Act. Government of Canada strengthen border security. I love how the way they frame that. And they're very smart. That's one thing. Don't underestimate those guys. They're fucking smart. They're really, really smart. But I always keep in mind that you can vote communism in, but you'll have to fight to get it out.
Mm.
And every time I see shit like that, I'm like, big brother, bitches. Like, we're closer and closer and closer to having a government that has all the power that they need without having to respect our freedoms and liberties. But that's the document you were talking about earlier, right?
Yeah.
Or did you have something else you wanted us to go through?
No,
'Cause I don't care what it is.
Yeah, so I've got a couple things. So I've got if you want to remove that there.
But is it what you have? Is it, because I want to go through line by line.
What I've got is the actual bill. There's a specific part of it, but if you want to just wait till because as I'm looking here, and part of the reason why it's so big is it, like most bills, it seems like they're stuffing a lot of stuff that really has nothing to do with it. Like, I'm reading the part.
They always do. They always do.
Part 4 of it is the Canada Post Corporation Act. Part 5 is the Oceans Act. Part 6, information sharing. So not everything is exact.
Just put it on then. Just put it on. I'll remove this. Put it on.
So yeah. So if we go over here,
because what I have is a resume. It looks like, you know, the 7-8 pages you stack on the front of a bill for people that will never read it.
Yeah.
That's what it seems like it was.
Yeah, exactly. So this is Bill C-2. You know, we've got our recommendation, our summary, and I will go back to summary. But the thing that I was just highlighting is if we go down here at the proceeds of crime.
But go through it, because that's what I wanted to do with this. Is really, because there's some things that actually sounds right. That's the thing. They're very clever in the way that they're actually introducing this.
Yep. That's okay. So the summary here, I'll just skim through it. So, because I mean, it obviously is quite wordy. So it amends the Customs Act to provide Canada Border Services with facilities free of charge, carrying out purposes related to this. So a bunch of legalese, essentially.
Sure.
Here's what it says it wants to do: eliminate the designated countries of origin regime, authorize the refugee protection. Yeah, as I'm going down, because and there's a reason why they write this like this. You know, they want to make it hard for people to read. So as Detective Gaines said, as you look going down, there is a whole lot of legalese. But if we look at the specific acts, and because this is brand new, right? This just came out. So I think even tomorrow we'll probably have longer time to, like tonight. I know I'm definitely going to do an absolute deep dive, but something that really jumped out at me is the proceeds of crime, the money laundering. So what this says is a person or entity referred to in Section 5, which is, you know, someone they designate as possibly related to terrorism, may The government may collect an individual's personal information without the individual's knowledge or consent. If the personal information is disclosed to the RCMP, so basically if the RCMP tells a bank that this person is possibly involved in money laundering, terrorist activity financing, or sanctions evasion, then they have to give the bank, the RCMP, or whatever government agency that the RCMP designates, they have to give them your information, and they do not need a warrant, and they do not have to tell you that they're doing it. In fact, they are not allowed. And if you look down here, they are granted immunity. No criminal or civil proceedings lie against a person or entity that collects, uses personal information under this part. So,
in good faith.
in
What
good
the
faith.
fuck does that describe to me? What in good faith? Oh, my intentions were right. So
That's all you have to say. That's all you have to say is as long as your intentions are right, it doesn't matter who you hurt. It doesn't matter what information you've collected. It doesn't matter whether it's true or not. All that matters is as long as you can say, I thought we were doing the right thing, then you are immune to any type of civil or criminal proceedings under any
Dr. Fauci.
That's and that's seriously problematic, because the only way you can ever hold accountable any of these institutions with this government overreach is if you can also go after them in a court or civil or criminal court. If you take away that, if you give them immunity, then they have absolutely no reason not to cooperate with the police, and they will do whatever the police tells them to without any warrant whatsoever.
You know, the Emergency Act that was passed during the lockdowns?
Yep.
That was used. Sorry, let me rephrase that. In Quebec, there was an Emergency Act that was passed at the beginning of the 2000s that had never been used until somewhere 2021. Where I can't say whoop, whoop. It was used during that time. This is exactly what was stipulated in there as well, because I read the whole act, and as long as they had good faith, they could never be held reliable.
Well, it's such an ambiguous term. It's such an ambiguous term, right? Good faith can be whatever the fuck you want it to be.
It's a politician writing acts that will protect them. It's like just Rob Ford and the MPPs voting themselves fucking salary increases. The same thing. There's no oversight whatsoever. And you're basically going to be asking people to vote on this by giving them all the power that they could ever want. So they're like, we're going to get to see who's actually honest. And this is one thing we need to talk about. So I'm just putting it out there so I don't forget. But once because it was just introduced, they're going to have to debate it. They're going to have to read it. They're going to have to debate it. And then they're going to vote on it. We need to keep track of the votes, because anybody that votes for this shit needs to be exposed for the corrupted individual that they are. I don't care that you're liberal or conservative, you're NDP. If you vote for this, you, sir, are the problem.
Yep, 100%. And I've actually got a really good little tweet here that's actually talking about that exact part that we're just talking about. So this guy here says Cosmin, whatever his name is, he's actually highlighting he's highlighting this part that we were just talking about, part 16. And he's expanding on this a little bit better because he's obviously had a little more time. He says, Part 16 permanently expands the same law the Liberals cited in the Emergencies Act order in order to crush the Freedom Convoy and freeze bank accounts. The bill introduces a new section to the Proceeds of Crime and Terrorist Financing Act, which is what we just read, authorizes banks and financial institutions to essentially permanently blacklist anyone who's deemed undesirable without your knowledge or consent or a warrant, just because the government says so. All it will take is for the RCMP, CSIS, or any government agency to simply say in writing that the purpose is detecting money laundering, terrorist financing, or sanctions evasion, and that's the exact words that were used for the Freedom Convoy, if you remember. And not only that, but as long as they say that, and the bank is acting in good faith, the bank will give over all your information. They will blacklist you from the financial system, and they are immune from criminal and civil liability. This is pretty extreme, and it's interesting. Here he has a picture of the part that we just talked about, but he also has a picture of this article. This is from I believe the Ottawa Sun. And this is from back during the, this is in the Globe and Mail. It says, it's time to end the sedition in Ottawa by enforcing the law and following the money. If you look at who wrote this article down here,
Mark Carney,
a very familiar name. So it's, this appears to be essentially like, I know a lot of people on the right just will automatically jump on the like, oh, they're coming to trample our liberties. I don't automatically jump to that. But just based on the facts, that's what this is doing. Clearly,
if you follow what's going on in China, what's been going on for a few years in China with their social credit score, this is exactly how you implement it, is by giving the power to the government to crush your finances, to literally stop you from accessing money. This is how they put a social credit score in place. And again, this is not a conspiracy theory. Just Google China social credit score. I've been talking about it forever. It's been going on forever. This is all the information is out there. There's no lies about this. But if your goal is to be able to castrate your population, to control them, make sure they can't access their money. And that's what they did during the convoy. And yet they're trying to do it again. It's just, man, the power that they're voting themselves is power that governments should never have. They should never be able to pick and choose who they want to go after based on their beliefs, based on what they're doing. Because I have the right to go after what my government is doing. I have the right to go in the street to protest. You can take away that right, my legal right to do so. It's a God-given right. I have the right to say no at all, to organize and to go protest in the street, just like we did during the convoy, because I was there. I have the right to do that. So why would a government ever need that type of power if we are indeed free, if we indeed have the right to protest? Why do you need to be able to do that?
Well, and
without immunity, immunity, this is the biggest problem. If that's not even enough to say that they have the rights to take my money away or to freeze my accounts, but they can do so in good faith. As long as it's shown of them to be in good faith and they have immunity, it's okay. I can't go after them. Like, are you fucking kidding me? Tamara Lich, everybody, Chris Berber, everybody, like, no, they're still fighting with this shit years after. Like, it's absolutely fucking insane that this is being pushed. And I'm not
and
seeing the reaction that should be happening right now.
Because this is still new. It's still
they've
new.
Done it no, but they've done it before. This is not like it's a conspiracy theory to say, oh, yeah, they want the power, but they're never going to use it. They've used it before.
Well, yeah,
Like,
and I think
a couple years ago, they've done it.
I think
and now they want the power again.
And I think what's sort of even scarier is because, as you were just saying, like, you have the right to protest, to say no, and you do. But here, you won't even know you won't even know that this is going on. You won't even know to be able to go out and protest and say no, because they're just going to do it and not even tell you. You won't even know what's happening because the law prevents these companies from even letting you know, and it completely protects them from any liability, criminal or civil. It's not whether you're on the left or the right, you should have some very serious concerns about this bill if you care about civil liberties. And like, I don't have a particular issue, like the part where it says, they can observe you without you knowing. Like, if you're a genuine criminal, like, yeah, I get it. You're going to need to be able to be under some sort of surveillance without you knowing. But the warrantless thing is what really does it for me. Like, you need to be able, like, that's a pretty serious infringement on civil liberties, to do that kind of surveillance, to freeze someone's bank account or to give away their information without them knowing. And if you're going to do that, you need to be able to go in front of a judge and make a real convincing case. And that bar should be really fucking high. The standard of proof should be that it would be better to let 10 criminals go free than to trample the civil liberties of one innocent person. So that should be the way that they approach this. It should not be this easy to get warrantless search and seizures of people's electronic and real property.
And this is a part that always worries me. Amend the criminal code. Why? Why do you need to amend the criminal code? That means you're the way our law, our criminal law works right now, you need to change it. That's what you're telling me. And right here, facilitate law enforcement's ability to lawfully access basic information and data that is necessary in the early stages of criminal investigation and ensure that CSIS investigates basically allow CSIS to have the proper tools to investigate people. But this is the part I don't like. Access basic information and data that is necessary in early stages of criminal investigation. So that means that I can make up, in good faith, they could say, you know what, that guy talks like he hates. He has hateful speech. Is that enough? Because you're talking
And
early,
you're
not talking, you've been to a judge, there's a warrant issued, it was proven that you've done something wrong. No. Early stages. What does that mean? What is early stages? Does that mean that I have a bureaucrat that saw one of my posts online that didn't like what I posted because I hurt his feelings about his purple hair? Yep. And then he's like, "That is that early stages?" Because to me, that's what early stages are.
Well, and you can even go another route and take it further. And this is just a hypothetical, but this is why these things are so important. Is you could have a bureaucrat who's upset because you're dating his ex-wife, and now he goes there and says, hey, I've got reason to believe I'm acting in good faith. Like, there's just so much potential for abuse, and that is why we need really strict things like requiring a warrant for if you're going to trample someone's civil liberties. Wise Guy has a great point here. With this act, troublemakers will be dealt with silently without arousing any media attention. The ostrich farmers, for example, would be labeled terrorists because they are organizing dissent, and that's not a ridiculous or unreasonable or implausible example that you're giving. Of course, and Mark Carney, he has that authoritarian vibe to it. You've seen it. He does not broker dissent. You've seen it in press conferences, and he genuinely believes if he's doing it, yeah, exactly. If he's doing it, it's right, and therefore, any minor civil liberties that have to be trampled is no worries.
Like, listen to this part. Update existing law enforcement tools to keep pace with modern digital challenges, including to explicitly deal with the search of computer system and data stored on or accessible from those systems. See how they use the word computer and not cell phone? They're not saying, but they do that on purpose, because right after they say, and data stored on or accessible from those systems. So basically what they're saying is that they want to have the tools and the power to inspect your computer, your laptop, your cell phone, your Google Drive, whatever you have stored on on iCloud, anywhere. They use computer. This is a computer. This is a smartphone. This is a computer, bruh. This is more powerful than computers from 5 years, 10 years ago. So they are very clever in the way that they're phrasing shit to make sure that it encompasses everything that they need. And even in the CTV News video that I saw, that was their problem. They're like, hey, bro, you are so overreaching. Like, your bubble is so big that we can't stop you from doing anything you fucking want. What is stopping us to say, no, that's too much. Oh yeah, give us all the power that we need, and then we'll figure out on good faith what we believe is good for you.
Good faith, right? Like,
but trust me, bro, that's how he finished his speech, that fucking twat, our safety minister. Trust me, bro, I'm a lawyer. Trust me, I have your best interests at heart. Oh, sure you do.
Yeah, exactly. Sure. And Detective Gaines, that's a good point. He says there's some good parts to the bill. The sex offender stuff, drug changes, immigration changes. It's a shame there's poison pills in the bill. That's a good point. But that's why they do it, right? Because once they slip through the shit, and if anyone said anything, they'll be like, oh, so you're against child sex trafficking, you're against fentanyl. And of course, no one is against those things. So that's why they do it. They stuff it's a Trojan horse, right? You get the shit in on the piggybacks of something that looks good.
Right here, clarity. Clarify the ability of law enforcement to exercise specific power and seize specific information without a warrant in urgent, time-sensitive circumstances. Example, life abuse of a child. See how they're putting that out there? It's just,
and that's who could be against that. Like what they're saying is, if someone's live streaming the abuse of a child, cops need to be able to bust through whatever warrants and get that person immediately. And everyone agrees with that, right? But that's what they'll hold up. If you oppose the bill in total because of the other stuff in the bill, they'll point to those kind of things and be like, "Oh, so you're against this?" Well, no.
Without a warrant, without a warrant, without a warrant, without a warrant.
Yeah.
In urgent, time-sensitive circumstances. What the fuck does that mean? Who gets to decide what is time-sensitive? Is my hate speech time-sensitive?
Well, and that's where it can get tricky, because I think in the example they give, like if someone is live streaming abuse of a child, I think we can all agree that's urgent, time sensitive.
It's not live streaming of a child. It's live abuse of a child, as in, that right now I'm beating my children, for example. The neighbor reported me. They want to be able to jump into my house and just arrest me. Well, see the door that it opens. What is considered time-sensitive circumstances? So if I start calling CBSA, or I start calling the RCMP to say, "Hey guys," or I start calling the police, just say, "Hey, my neighbor that I really don't like because he's a conservative, I've heard noises. He has children. I haven't seen his children in a few days. I just heard some screams coming from his house. There has to be something going on." So that means that they can just show up to my place. Is that what we're talking about here? Like, what the fuck are we talking? What the fuck are we talking about here?
And that's why it's so important to be clear with these kind of bills, right? And not be ambiguous. I just grabbed onto something that's
hold on before you do that. Nick is bringing such a great point. It's a huge issue for custody cases. So my ex-wife doesn't like me. We have kids together. She starts inventing shit. I've seen it. I've seen it live. I've seen my ex-wife do that to me, invent shit. I've seen friends lose custody of their children because of this shit. So this is not far-fetched at all. It has happened. It will continue to happen. Now it seems, maybe I'm wrong, and hopefully I am, but it seems that you're giving the power to people to be able to do exactly that. So are you, your ex-wife and you, with your son, you say, you get in an argument with her, she doesn't like what you say, she picks up the phone, calls the police and say, "You know what? Rob said that he would beat my son because he misbehaved today."
Yeah. And then
what the fuck does that mean?
Yeah. There's so much potential for abuse here. I just caught on to something here as I'm looking. If you just want to remove that.
I was going to say, wow, you're looking at the exact same thing as me at the same time.
Yes. Okay. So this is just a CBC article, and they're not even like just liberals introduced bill.
It's not showing. It's not showing.
All right. Let me bring it up here.
Zinga.
Can we see that?
Yes.
All right. So we go down, but now down at the bottom. Remember we had mentioned the $10,000 change, and I think we're talking about like going across the border or whatever. Any transit that's kind of probably reasonable, but apparently it's cracking down on money laundering by strengthening and enforcing penalties and putting restrictions on any cash transactions over $10,000 in cash deposits by one individual into another's account. So I can't even send you $15,000 electronically, a bank transfer, without that being a serious problem. Like, and I get it. You don't really need to carry $10,000 across of a border. That's reasonable. But to say that there's no reasonable reason why two Canadians might want to send more than $10,000 to each other without permission from the government, that's ridiculous. What if I want to buy your car? You know what I mean? Do I need to go get permission from the government? Do I need to get do I need to let them know? And if I do send you $12,000 to pay for that car, am I now on a terrorist watch list? And next time I try to go and fly, I'm going to get flagged. Like, what are the issues? What are the ramifications of a lot of these laws? And I agree. I think a lot of people are not talking about this, and they should be. Maybe it's brand new, but I really hope we can get that lawyer that you mentioned at the beginning of the show.
Yeah, no, I agree. I'm sure I'll find one. It might take
Yeah.
me a few days to find one because
Yeah.
not only do I need to find a lawyer that's ready to talk about this, but I need to find a lawyer that's ready to be questioned by people that are going to be questioning him with real questions. It's not going to be a softball interview. We want to know what the fuck are we talking about here. So
Yeah.
it might be, but that's what they specialize in. The people that I reached out to, thanks to Cheryl, seem to be specializing in that. So hopefully, not only do they show up, but they get to show up time and time again when we do have other issues to address. But see, this is the part I'm noticing right here. This is what they were talking about in the interview, in the video, earlier from CTV News, ensuring that electronic service providers, ESPs, have the capabilities in place to support law enforcement agencies and CSIS in criminal and intelligence investigation by requiring them to fulfill lawfully authorized requests to access or intercept information and communications. What is lawfully? Because just earlier you were mentioning how you want to change the criminal code in order to be able to do your primary investigation to facilitate the earlier stage of investigation. So see how clever they are? They're like, oh yeah, but it's lawful. Yeah, but hold on.
It's only lawful because you made it.
Fucking
Because
bill,
you
you're
changed the
trying
law.
to change the law.
That's very sneaky. It's like if you put a law saying murder was legal, you could be like, well, now it's lawful. You know what I mean? Like everything could be lawful if you change the law to make it so. That doesn't, you know, and then they say, like, oh, well, it's lawful now. We can, it's perfectly fine. Well, that's only because you changed the law to do so.
Look at this part. Look at this part too. Hold on. Before you do, let's just finish this because I think it's pretty much it afterwards. But amend the Canada Post Corporation Act. Remove barriers that prevent police from searching mail where authorized to do so in accordance with an act of Parliament to carry out a criminal investigation. Expand Canada Post's inspection authority to open mail.
I don't know if I mean, I don't.
So
Like,
again, what the fuck does that mean? Remove the barriers. You mean my freedoms? Like, are those the barriers you're talking about?
Those are the barriers. Yeah. So sorry, it's such a burden for you to have to respect our civil rights, but yeah, I mean that's just part of like the whole. I don't know. There's a reason why we have these civil liberties, and it is, you know, there's a reason why cops need warrants. Like these are all things that have been put in place because we understand that authorities will abuse their power if they don't have them there. So I don't like anything that's sort of taking them. I don't really think that this is a major problem, like drugs being sent through the mail. Like I'm sure they already have drug sniffing dogs and whatever else the fuck. But at the end of the day, you can't just go randomly opening people's mail just because, you know, without a warrant and without letting them know, just because you might have a gut feeling that there's you know, there's some drugs in there or something.
And there's a reason why, and this is a question for a lawyer, Act of Parliament. Remove barriers that prevents police from searching mail where authorized to do so in accordance with an Act of Parliament. An Act of Parliament is a law passed by legislative body, often called Parliament or similar council, to make laws. So do we have councils that are not MPs that are capable of passing laws? See how that fucking that is such a rabbit hole, because they reference other acts and other policies and saying, oh, it's lawful. Yeah, but hold on. If you're changing the law, of course it becomes lawful, asshole. You're trying to do it a few pages earlier. You're modifying the criminal act to make it lawful to search me as long as it's in good faith and they have immunity. Yeah, that sounds legit. That sounds like exactly the type of power I want my government to have over me. That sounds brilliant. Fuck. Oh yeah. Where the fuck do I sign for this shit?
Yeah. It I hopefully that there's a whole lot more attention paid to this, and the media sort of gets on this, because we're not really seeing a whole lot to it. And maybe it's just that it's brand new and you know, no one's had a chance to really dig into it. It is, you know, it's quite a long and dense document, but there's a lot of, you know, there's a lot of things, cause for concern in this bill for sure.
Well, see, there you go. And that's exactly what I thought. So remember where I'm going with this. Act of Parliament. I just explained to you that an act of Parliament is a law passed by a legislative body, often called Parliament or similar council, to make laws. What's your next question when you read this? Are there councils in Canada? And that's what I ask. Are there councils in Canada that can pass laws without votes? In Canada, most legislative bodies require a vote for passing laws, but there are exceptions. Awesome. There are exceptions. So basically what you're telling me is that there are councils somewhere in Canada that are capable of passing laws without MPs having to vote on it. So does that mean that Carney gets to create special councils for emergency situations that need to be able to take decision in a very fast pace, because something bad could be happening right now where they don't have time to make warrants, they don't have time to vote on the new capacity of that council, they don't need to vote on that law because it needs to be done now. Freedom Trucker again.
Ooh,
because this type of bill is opening up the door. If people were pissed off on lockdowns, I guarantee you this bill is gonna create a lot of fucking static in Canada. So you're basically, so what's time sensitive? Remember, that's the expression that they used earlier. Oh, time sensitive. What the fuck does that mean? If there's people marching down Ottawa and blocking Parliament again, is that the type of time sensitive we're talking about? Is that the type of special councils that could be created with emergency powers that get to vote, that get to put laws in place without passing a bill and putting it to the vote in our House of Commons? Like, what the fuck are we talking about here?
Yeah, I got there's something else I want to show you guys quickly before we move on. So can you see this here?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so this is the bill again. So this is it's under exportation here, and this is it's about talking about like trying to cut back on the drugs and chemical precursors.
Of course, obviously.
So it says officers' access to goods. Every person who transports or causes to be transported within Canada goods destined for export must, at an officer's request, give the officer free access to any premise or place under the person's control that is attached to or forms any part or place where goods destined for export are reported, loaded, unloaded, or stored. So that means just by their all they have to do is ask. You must give them free access to any premise or place. So if you send a letter to Canada, because here it says, or let's say it's a little a package to the United States destined for export, they have free access to any place where that was reported, loaded, or unloaded. So if you technically loaded that package in your home and then sent it to you, they can take that package, come back to you, and demand free access to your home because this is where the goods were loaded. And I don't see anything here about a warrant. I don't see anything where you have the ability to say no to this. It just says you must, if you produce any goods destined for export, at an officer's request, give the officer free access to any premise that had anything to do with that package, whether it was your home where you packed it, your workplace where you just, wrote the address on it, the car that you drove it from the store to your home. You must give the officer free access to it as long as they ask at an officer's request. I don't see anything about warrants. I don't see anything about the ability to say no. And that seems very problematic.
Doesn't it seem like they're going after truckers?
Well, yes.
Where do most truckers bring their truck? At a home?
Well, yeah. So just by that connection, they can now go to your home. They can now go to your home.
But who stood up to the government last time? Truckers.
Yeah.
Are you going to tell me that what you just read? Reread it again. Bring it back to the screen and reread it. I just want to make sure I'm not on crack here.
No, I know.
Because what you just read sounded to me that that they're kind of identifying truckers as a possibility of problems. So reread the part you just lost.
Yeah. I'll
Do a
find
co-
it here.
Do a Control F transport.
Control
Come on, bro.
left.
Control F
Jesus.
as in find.
Control F. Yes, transport.
You're welcome.
Oh, there we go. Nice.
F.
All right, good save. So, every person who transports or causes to be transported within Canada goods destined for export. So anything that you have that creates a good that is destined for any other country outside of Canada must, at an officer's request, give the officer free access to any premise or place that is attached to or forms part of any place where the goods were reported, loaded, unloaded, or stored. So again, if you brought that package to your home and wrote an address on it, that's now part of where that was stored or loaded. And now they have free access. I don't see anything but warrants. I don't see the ability to say no. I just see must, at an officer's request, give the officer free access to any premise or place under the person's control, based just on the fact that you sent goods. Or again, if you're driving a truck and it's those goods are destined to go somewhere else, that seems highly likely to be abused.
Go back, read the paragraph that's underneath it, underneath the
Okay.
one, because now they talk about warehouses. What the fuck's
Yeah.
a warehouse? My garage could be considered a warehouse if I store my stuff there, right?
Officers access
Like
to goods.
So
The-
up, we're
sorry, go
talking
ahead.
transport. Now we're talking warehouse. So we're talking where the good might have been stored. A lot
Well,
of people have small businesses, and guess what? They store their stuff at home in their garage. So just read that part. See what it says.
It says the operator of a warehouse or a bonded warehouse must, at an officer's request, give the officer free access to the warehouse or any premise or place under the operator's control that is attached to or forms part of the warehouse, and open any package or container of goods destined for export, or remove any packaging from those goods. So there's a lot. It's a bit wordy, but essentially what they're saying is the same thing. If you have any goods inside of a warehouse, at an officer's request, I don't see anything about warrants. I don't see anything about due process, the ability to say no. It is simply you must, at their request, give them free access to the entire warehouse too. The entire warehouse. And once they're there, of course, they can do whatever they want, right? Even if maybe they're actually after your package, but they use, someone else's in order to get into the warehouse. And now it's just, there's so much potential for abuse here.
If they don't like you, basically what they could do is shut down your business.
Yes. Yeah.
While they investigate. Remember yesterday we had Simon on.
Yeah.
The arson happened a week prior to F1. What did he say afterwards? That most of the months of summer are where they make their money to compensate all the winter months where they lose money. Do you think he's the only person that lives in that time, that has business, has a business in that situation?
That's right.
But like, if you want to remove that for 1 second, I just want to show you something, because again, it's all about the way you word things. I'm very, very, like, I will always put emphasis on the words that I use.
Mm-hmm.
So I asked Google, can my garage be considered a warehouse? No, a typical residential garage is not generally considered a warehouse. Generally. It's not is not generally.
Yeah.
And you look at right here, like zoning and regulations. Purpose. Warehouses are used for storing and distributing goods for businesses, while garages are for parking vehicles and storing personal belongings. Okay, so cool. I run a business out of my house. I have a shared space that's my garage. Half of it is for my cars, but the other half is for storing the stuff that I buy, that I sell online. And yes, I do have customers in the US. That's it, because I'm exporting shit to the US. Now is my garage now considered a warehouse? Or does that mean you get to impound my cars because they shared the same space as my warehouse, that is my residential garage, and then you get to bring them to the pound while you dismantle them to make sure I'm not stuffing shit inside the car? Like where the fuck does it end?
Does it end? Yeah. And I'll give you another scenario. Let's say you're on government.
Of course you are.
Let's say you're gonna let's say you're on government radar because you're an activist, you're speaking out about something, and maybe they know you have guns or think you have guns, and they want to make an example of you, and you send a package to your niece in the United States. It's got a doll for her birthday. That's now goods destined for export. They have that. They can go back. They can say, okay, well, we suspect there's drugs in here, and we suspect it was stored or loaded in your premise at your house. We're going to go back to you, and we will have free access to your house. You cannot say no because of our suspicion in good faith. It's good faith that there's drugs in this package, and we'll go in. They ransack your home. Then they open the package. Oh, it is just a doll. Well, sorry, our bad, but hey, it was good faith. And the whole point, even if they don't charge you anything, the whole point is to intimidate you. The whole point is the process is the punishment, just so that you know that they can do this whenever they want to.
Back away from your microphone. I agree with you, but the closer you get, the more it crackles.
Yeah.
But you're absolutely 100% right. This is all people need, is to be intimidated for them to be compliant.
Silent.
Just afterwards to just say, you know what? I don't want to deal with this shit. It's not worth it. They just need to make a few example of people to make it so complicated, or to make it so troublesome and so worrisome for people that they're just, you're crushing dissent before it actually starts.
Exactly. And that's like in the UK when they're going knocking on old women's doors for writing a tweet or something at 2 a.m. Yeah, sometimes like 8 hours later, it's like release with no charge. But meanwhile, they dragged you out of bed at 2 a.m., dragged you down to the police station. The process was the punishment. They know they weren't ever going to charge you, but they also know that's going to be terrifying. You're going to be intimidated, and everyone else is going to see what happens when you go against government narratives. And Wise Guy, good. That's a good point. He says, I think the important words were under your control. Any place you own or control is your home, your office, your car, driving to work. That's under your control. And in the wording of that law, I didn't see anything about warrants. I didn't see anything about the ability to say no. It's just the officer will be given free access, period. And that's not right.
It's all about good faith, right?
Yeah. Yeah, as long as it's in good faith, then it's all good.
So what do you guys think about this? We've been going at this for almost an hour, 20 minutes. We've been at least an hour. We've been speaking about the bill. We've gone into it as much as you probably want us to go through, because it's not a legal show. I don't think you want us to read 140 pages because, as you know, as Detective Gaines was saying, there are parts of the bills that actually make sense.
Mm-hmm.
There's part of the bill in immigrations that actually makes sense. Strengthening our CBSA to have more power makes sense. But when you start digging into it where they don't need warrants, they just need to be asking, that is very fucking problematic. So I want to ask you guys, like, what do you feel about this? Because even if you're not commenting, even if you don't want to voice your opinion, I just want you guys to ask yourself the question. What do you think about this? Is this the type of bill that you believe is good? Do you think that there's something behind the scene that they're trying to gain more and more control over us? Because at the end of the day, I look at this bill and I'm like, this is exactly the type of fucking powers a socialist government wants. Like, I read a bill like this and I'm like, you know what? As I've been saying for a long time now, Carney's been sent to finish Trudeau's job. We saw what Trudeau did during the lockdowns and how they ended the Freedom Trucker Convoy. They seem to be targeting truckers directly in that fucking bill.
Oh, yeah. Talk about warehouses, goods for export. That's all pretty truckerish kind of stuff.
And this is, if I can think of this, as you're reading it, I'm like, hey, what the fuck? Are you trying to go after the truckers? Because this is what it sounds like. How is this not problematic? Like, for the people out there, just leave us a comment what you guys are thinking about this. Do you see, you know what? I'll push the question even further. do you think the conservatives should be outraged by this? Because from what I saw earlier, there was an NDP member that was against this. An NDP fucking member that's part of the Socialist
And it was probably
fucking
against like
Party of
the
Canada.
immigration stuff. It was probably because it was too.
I need to Google it. I need to
Yeah.
Google it. I'm take some of the comments. I'm gonna go
Yeah.
pee, and then I'm gonna check who said that, because you're probably right. Maybe I'm playing your role today. I'm being naive.
It being the
To think
naive
that
one.
when I saw that they were against it, I'm like, oh shit. No,
The
they're probably gonna
NDP,
call
no,
us.
it's probably like
It's not enough.
it tramples
It's not
the
enough.
rights of refugees. Robin says, feels like the bigger the bill, the more they hide. Yeah, I mean that's and all these bills, like they're meant to be dense and thick, and they're meant to discourage you from reading. Like as you could see when we tried to go down there, like it really is really thick. You know, it's a lot of reading, and most people are just going to tune out, and that's entirely intentional. Wise guy. Oh no, he already said that one. Chris H says, that's a good comment. He says, you have to acknowledge that this law could be used against people you don't agree with. Your neighbor could be pro-Palestinian, and another neighbor might call them a terrorism supporter. And that's why it's so dangerous. And I really wish people. It seems like a lot of people are okay with laws that trample civil liberties, as long as it tramples the right kind of civil liberties, or tramples the civil liberties of people they don't like, who believe the wrong things. And obviously that is short-sighted, because history shows us time and time and time again, eventually they will be used against you. And that's why you have to have a no tolerance policy for any laws that will trample anyone's civil rights.
Amen.
Joe says, we've had a 10,000K law in the US for years too. Yeah, I mean, and we have too for things like traveling across the border. Is it from bank account to bank account in the States too? Like you can't send your friend $12,000 through banks in the United States, because that's what this bill is doing here in Canada. Joe says, you need to give us more power to keep you safe. Yeah, I mean that's essentially what they're saying. Cherie says it's all a load of shit, a wolf in sheep's clothing. Yeah, and a lot of bills are like that, right? They have some good things in there, and they use it to backdoor in some not good things.
So I wanted us to do a deep dive in it, because I couldn't find the information out there of people that did it. And obviously, even I don't know that I could consider that a deep dive, because it would probably take 10-20 hours to go through it line by line. And actually,
I'm going to go down
research
tonight and do line by line. And if something
but
jumps
you're not
out,
a lawyer, right? You're
Yeah,
not a
yeah, yeah.
lawyer, but those are the type of stuff that we're going to have to identify in order to speak to a lawyer to say,
Yeah.
what do you think? What do you think that means? But one of the things that it reminded me is that first, it's the bill. This is not law. This is not the law of the land. This was the first reading. This was them introducing us to what they're trying to pass. But it speaks of intent. Even if that's not law, just the fact that they're throwing that out there, see if it sticks, is a fucking problem. But one of the things that I wanted to share, because I don't think everybody understands our process, how a bill becomes law. I found a super simple video. I'm not trying to tell you guys that you guys are retarded, because the video is it's called for students. But I just thought that we could take a little 5-minute, go back to school for a second, and just try to understand how a law is made in Canada. A video for, I think I'm going to read the actual title. It says, how a law is made in Canada, explained for students step by step. So let's just listen to this, and keep in mind that this is just a bill, but motherfucker, are they giving us intent already.
Okay. Law in Canada, step by step. Laws help keep Canada safe and organized, but where do they come from? Every law starts as an idea, and before it can become official, it has to go through a long process in the federal government. In this video, we'll follow a bill step by step through the process of becoming a law in Canada. To make it easier to understand, we'll use an example of a new bill. The Clean Parks Act, a law that would ban littering in all national parks. Brought to you by Super Simple Sheets. From coast to coast, worksheets that work. Discover the full range of what we offer at supersimplesheets.com. Step 1. An idea is born. The process starts with an idea. Anyone can have an idea for a new law, including citizens, businesses, or government officials. But for an idea to move forward, it must be brought to the House of Commons by a Member of Parliament, or MP. MPs represent different areas, called ridings, and they bring forward bills to help improve Canada. In our example, an MP from British Columbia notices a growing problem with garbage in national parks and wants to introduce a law that bans littering in all parks across Canada. Step 2. The bill is introduced. Once an MP decides to introduce a bill, they write it down in a formal document. The bill must clearly explain what the new law will do and why it is needed. The MP then presents the bill in the House of Commons. This is called
That's
the
what they
first
did
reading.
yesterday.
At this
right?
stage, MPs do not debate or vote on the bill yet. They simply listen to what it is about. In our example, the MP introduces the Clean Parks Act, explaining that it will ban littering in national parks and introduce fines for those who do not follow the rule. Step 3. Debate and changes. After the first reading, the bill moves to the second reading, where MPs debate whether it is a good idea. Some MPs might support it, while others might have concerns or suggestions. If a majority of MPs vote yes, the bill moves to the committee stage, where a small group of MPs carefully studies it. The committee may suggest changes to improve the bill. For example, some MPs might say that the fines should be lower, or that there should be a plan to increase recycling bins in national parks. If the committee makes changes, the bill goes back to the House of Commons for a third reading, where MPs vote on the final version. If the majority vote yes, the bill moves on to the Senate. Step 4. The Senate reviews the bill. The Senate is the second chamber of Canada's Parliament. Senators are appointed by the Prime Minister, and their job is to carefully review new laws.
I just want to mention to the people out there, our Senate is something stupid like 70 to 90% liberal. So if it gets out of the House of Commons, that bill passes. Like, I'm just saying, if the liberal try to pass a bill and it gets to the Senate, we're fucked. We are fucked. Just thought I'd mention it.
I can't remember. I don't know if anyone's familiar with the history. I don't think there's too many cases where the Senate ever really kills a bill that makes it through Parliament, because they're not elected. They're appointed. They're basically a ceremonial position. It's just a place to where the elites can reward their cronies and lackeys with titles and stuff. But I think I think they know enough that people will be pretty upset if they start killing bills that the majority of the Parliament passes, because those are elected officials.
So I did not think it was this bad. It's worse than 90%. Canada's Senate has 105 seats.
Okay.
Prime Minister Justin Trudeau has assigned 100 independent senators to the Canadian Senate. Out of 105 senators in Canada, 100 were assigned by Trudeau. So if that bill makes it to the Senate, we are fucked. Just
it's going through. It's going through for sure.
100 out of 105.
That's really funny.
I said 70 to 90. It's like 96% chosen by Trudeau. And God knows we trusted Trudeau.
Yeah. So I mean, the Senate's a non-issue, and any liberal bill that goes through Parliament will get rubber stamped by the Senate.
The bill goes through the same process in the Senate as it did in the House of Commons. It has a first reading, a second reading with debates, a committee stage for possible changes, and a third reading for a final vote. If the Senate approves the bill without any changes, it moves to the next step. If the Senate wants changes, the bill goes back to the House of Commons for further debate. In our example, the Senate suggests that the Clean Parks Act should include an educational campaign about littering before fines begin. Step 5. Final approval by the Governor General. After passing through the House of Commons and the Senate, the bill needs one final approval before it becomes a law. The Governor General, who represents the King in Canada, gives royal assent. This is a formal step that makes the bill official. The Governor General does not decide whether a bill is good or bad. They simply sign it into law. Once this
Fucking
happens, the
useless.
Clean Parks Act is now a real law that applies
They're a
to all
literal
major
rubber
cities in
stamp.
Canada.
Literal. They're the auto pen.
The law is enforced. Now that the law is official, it must be put into action. The government makes sure that signs are placed in parks, park rangers are trained to enforce the new rules, and fines are introduced for people who litter. If someone throws garbage on the ground in a national park, they could now receive a fine under the Clean Parks Act. How it all works together. The process of making a law in Canada takes time, but it is important to make sure that new laws are fair and well thought out.
Okay, I don't need your explanation of what you believe is fair, but
Yeah. So that's a good explanation, just so for everyone
I
to
thought
get some
so.
context. Yeah, it gives you. So right now we're at the. So there's still a lot that has to be done, right? There's going to be some debate on this bill.
just a bill. It's just a bill right now.
Yeah, there's going to be debate. Then there's going to be a second vote. Then it's going to go to committee, and then they're going to do an up or down vote, and then Senate, and then blah blah blah. But so there is still potential, and that's in some ways that's almost gives us even more incentive to talk about these sorts of things at this stage, because it can still change. Fixes can still happen.
You know, do I think this is going to become law? No, I don't. I don't.
You
I
don't think
think
so?
that no, I don't think so. I don't think so because
Okay.
we had a comment here. I think it was Wise Guy. I have a feeling a bill like this would not make it pass a non-confidence motion by the Conservatives. It would be devastating to the cons. Would they change voting? Yeah. Would they chance voting? Yes. And this is the thing, right?
Well,
This bill kind of gives me. I find this bill interesting in a few different ways, but two mainly reasons. Because first, it shows the intent of the Liberals. For them to even consider passing such a broad bill in the name of security is bullshit. It's overreaching, and they're proving to us that what we believed is true. What I've been saying for years, that Trudeau is just trying to go after our rights and become a dictator, that bill shows it to me. That if you can pass that bill, the government will now have all the powers that they want without having to have an emergency. They can literally pick and choose whenever the fuck they want to be able to use that power. So they're showing to me that they want to become dictators. But then it also gives an opportunity to the Conservative to actually prove what they stand for. Because as much as I don't like Poliev, as much as I wish they would have had a guy like David Bexty as their leader instead after the speech that I saw from him, or some of the other Conservatives that seem to be standing up for something, it will still give them the opportunity to say, hell the fuck no. But don't forget, guys, though, that in order for that bill to not pass, you basically have to have every single Conservative vote, every single NDP vote, and May has to vote against it, and the Bloc Québécois. It's basically everybody needs to vote, and we might need a few Liberals not to show up in case some of the NDPs are voting for it. It's just, as much as I don't think it's going to pass, it could.
Well, I mean, I think, I think it's definitely going to pass, or I strongly think it will. Just because right now it's brand new. Carney's got he's going to have his MPs voting, and they essentially have a majority. As Wise Guy says, it would make a no confidence motion by the Conservatives, but as you just said, they would need to have not just all the Conservatives, but they would need the Bloc, they would need the NDP, and a couple, ideally a couple Libs to go against it. And I don't think that they would do that this early in their campaign. Libs are not going to take their own government down, and especially, I think they want this bill. Like Carney dictates. He's a dictator-minded type politician. You can tell. I would be shocked if he didn't already know he had the votes for this. We'll play it out and see. But normally, I think for him to lose a no comps motion, I think he will have to lose more popularity than he has, because he still is popular with the base, with the liberal base.
Bro, I just realized why 4 liberals did not show up this week to vote.
Now that could be. Yeah.
No, but the liberals have 169 votes.
Okay.
If you combine, the conservative have 144, the Bloc Québécois has 22, the NDP has 7, and the Green has 1. If you combine every single elected MP that is not liberal, that's 174. In order for them to win, even if everybody voted against the liberals, that means 174. They needed, by not being, for them not being there, that brings them down to a place where they actually can pass or can vote against the bill. It's almost a magic number. If a couple of them say no, we're not going to vote for this, let's say the NDP votes for the liberals, if they're missing 4, that means that a conservative could win. Oh, Jesus, that was so done on purpose. That was so done on purpose that 4 of them didn't show up.
Yeah, it's definitely possible. I think it's hard to tell what's going on exactly right now, but my read of this, I think Carney has complete control over the Liberal Party right now, and with an almost majority, I think whatever he wants to do he's going to be able to do. I don't see any real opposition. I don't think the conservatives, and where are the conservatives on this? Like, where? Certainly, if they want to oppose this bill, they need to be out there speaking about it now. I get it was when was it introduced, just last night, but still, like, this is what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to have people ready to read these bills right away. Here's what's good about it. Here's what we should attack on it. They're not a very effective opposition so far. I'm not overly impressed. Sylvie is.
They have a chance to shine right now, and I'm not seeing it.
Yeah. Well, and this is this is a fight to pick, I think. If it was nothing really there, I wouldn't say go and pick a fight just to fight. Don't nitpick. But to me, it seems like there's real issues in this bill, and they should be speaking out against it. Sylvie a few minutes ago, I'd asked our audience if anyone had any memory of Senate rejecting a bill that the Parliament passed, and she says the only time I remember any pushback from the Senate was when the EA was implemented, Equalities Act, I believe. And then
Emergency Act.
Emergencies. Oh, you're right. And then Trudeau repealed it before the Senate finalized the review. But that's crazy that the Senate, which is 100 out of 105, were put in there by Trudeau. Even they were going to go against it, and Trudeau pulled it back to avoid the humiliation of being shut down by your own Senate. Tammy says senators a job they can work until they're 75. The current average age of senators 65.9. So we're stuck with Trudeau senators for quite a while. Yep.
Although there seemed to be, I need to dig more into this, but I was reading earlier that they can only serve if they were chosen after 2008.
Yep.
They can only serve for 8 years as a senator.
Okay.
So basically, but I don't know what's worse, Trudeau assigning senators or Carney assigning senators.
Yeah, and
I'm not sure what's worse.
I think the Senate's just a giant mess. I don't think there's any hard number on how many there can be. I think they can just make whoever they want to be a senator. They're appointed. There's no election. So I think, technically they have to approve it. But I think in practice, they almost never reject any bill that the Parliament actually offers or passes. And they do it for self-preservation mode. That right now, they have a cushy job. It pays them a lot. They get expense accounts. They get the title of being a senator. And they know that if they go around these unelected, basically bureaucrats, rejecting bills that the Parliament, who is elected, are passing, I think they know that the Canadian public would be really, really unhappy with that. Squirrel Nuts reposted the stream. We appreciate that, sir. Also, you can jump over on, if you guys are watching us from X, please like and share there. That's great. But you are missing all the action. It's over here on YouTube is where all the cool kids are hanging out. So you can jump over there and join in the conversation. While you're over there, if you like what we do here, if you think that there's that's a valuable show that we're doing here, the best way you can support us is to purchase a membership. It's at $2.99 a month. That's how you can support the Political Orphans, which will give you 100% access to the Discord server. Continue the conversation there 24/7.
I agree with Wise Guy on this one. I find it hard to believe that there's a complete unity in the libs. The what? I want to say the twat carnies told
The
the
way.
leader.
Yeah, the way.
I like
Carney.
the twat. The twat carnies told the leadership had to piss off some people, maybe 4 to be exact.
Yeah, it's a fair point. It's not bad. It's not a bad argument. And you know, there are certainly signs of what you're saying. For example, the 4 people that are missing. Also, that story that was out last week, where you know people wanted the party wanted to be able to get rid of Carney, and which is a weird sort of thing to even be thinking about if you're a liberal this early. So I've for sure there could definitely be some behind the scenes going on that we're not sure. Again, all we can really do is read those chicken bones, right? Read those tea leaves, because we're not seeing the exact thing. We have to kind of piece it all together. I think, you know, there's definitely could be something to what you're saying. I still think it would be. I still think Carney's got some political capital, what they'll call it, what they call it. He's got the ability to, you know, do what he wants to do right now, but political capital can be used up very quickly. So we'll have definitely keep an eye on that. And yeah, I mean, this is the great game, right? This is the politics game, and this is we're going to be covering all of it.
But how long do you think it's going to take for constituents to hear about what's hiding within that bill, start complaining to their MPs, and their MPs that never read the bill, that will probably never read it, start looking at it and say, hey, whoa, 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 whoa. Even as, you know, even as a liberal, it's very hard for me to believe that there's not liberals out there that are not going to do what their constituents want.
Yeah.
Just like it's mentioned here. Hold on. I saw that and I had read about this. The formerly non-affiliated New Brunswick Senator David Richards has joined the Conservative Senate caucus.
So that's
because
there's evidence.
How many people? Because right now it's brand new. It's from yesterday. There's not a lot of people talking about it. We're one of the only ones that did somewhat of a deep dive in it. Hopefully, I get a lawyer on the show with us to talk about it even more. But how many people are going to wake up to this and say this is not right? Because again, this is non-partisan. This has nothing to do with who you voted for. This is wrong. That bill, the way it is now, is overreaching. This is dictatorship 101 right there. And I want to believe that there's Canadians out there, no matter if they voted liberal or not, or they voted conservative or not, that look at this and say, no, this is not right. Especially that we saw some of those powers used during the trucker convoy. So it's not like we're reaching by saying that would give them the power to do it, because they had the power before under emergency and they did it. So it's not a conspiracy to say that our government could do this. They have done it. So it's hopefully this wakes people up, at least a few of them, enough to go talk to their member of parliament. But to tell me that this is all conspiracy and there's nothing to it, come on, wake up.
I think to answer your question is like, you know, how long will it take, or how, you know, how much will people put up with? I think a lot of that depends on how effective the Conservative Party is at communicating some of the issues in this bill, because there are definitely real things that they can grab onto that are not, you know, nitpicky things. There's real concerns here. So we'll see. We'll see what they're
warrant.
See what they're warrantless stuff. You know, immunity to bank and financial institutions for trampling their civil rights. There's all kinds of things that do not sound good, even in just 5-second sound bites. So the Conservatives were really going to drop the ball here if they don't if they don't raise the alarm on some of this stuff.
One other thing I wanted to talk about is an article I found this morning saying that today MPs will vote on government speech from the throne in confidence.
That is, that's a confidence measure.
So I found that interesting because I wasn't aware until I saw that, but it's basically saying that the Liberal minority government's first real test comes today as MPs are scheduled to vote on the government's throne speech. The Liberals lost the vote on Monday evening when opposition members successfully amended the speech to call on the government to table an economic update before Parliament breaks for the summer. Government whip Mark Gernston insisted nothing went wrong with that vote despite the Liberals losing by a count of 166 to 164. But this is what's interesting.
That's
but hold
very
on,
interesting.
this is counting that 4 of them were missing, right? So this is where it's interesting. However, the vote on the throne speech itself is a confidence vote, which means that if the government loses it, it could be forced into a general election.
Could you imagine? Could you imagine if they did? Now, I don't think they will. But that, I mean, for what you and Wise Guy were just saying about behind the scenes problems in the Liberal Party, that's probably the single strongest piece of evidence that I've seen for what you guys are saying. And it's certainly, again, all we can do is kind of read the tea leaves a little bit here. We can't hear or see exactly what's going on. We can just piece together little bits of evidence, but that's definitely the centerpiece of that argument, in my opinion.
But I think the point you're missing is put that together with the bill C-2 that they're trying to pass, that they just introduced to Parliament. Bill C-2 could be the thing that some liberal needed to say, whoa, what the fuck is going on here? And having a vote of non-confidence could be the perfect opportunity for them to say, fuck you, we don't want you as a leader. I'm not saying this is what's going to happen, but if 4 of them already didn't show up this week for the original vote on the speech from the throne, 4 of them were magically sick that day, making it possible for the Conservative and the NDP with the bloc to vote against the speech of the throne, giving them an opportunity now to have a vote of confidence. Bro, this could be, I don't see it happening, but at the same time, I like to be pleasantly surprised.
Yeah. I mean, it's just, you know, they're also going to be thinking about self-preservation too. Because if they collapse the government, you know, some of them probably lose their jobs. So they just got these super cushy jobs because there's going to be a new election. Some of them, you know, it's just, I could see them definitely killing this bill. And you know, I think some of the things we've seen over the last 10 minutes almost, you know, makes me a little bit more to your argument that you're saying you think this bill might not pass. I said I think for sure it will, and that's when I see that stuff, I'm like, yeah, okay, maybe I'm not as certain as I, or maybe I'm more certain I should be. However, I don't think a no confidence vote would pass this or fail this early in. But man, who the fuck knows? Crazy. We're in crazy times. Crazier things have happened. The fact that they even got reelected in this environment is crazy to me. So I don't know. We're all just trying to make sense of it. None of it really makes sense.
Joel Stradamus is saying the hilarious thing to me, all this crap was done to the US 15, 20 years ago, Patriot Act, by US conservatives.
Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of it makes you, I don't know why this is Carney's first piece of legislation. I don't know what problem he's trying to solve. I mean, I guess again, rhetorical question.
Robbie, naive, Ember.
Yeah. It seems that the most likely thing is that it's just a power grab, a control grab, like an authoritarian power grab. Which
I think we can all agree that. I think. Let me ask you that question: do you think that Carney is here for more than 4 years?
No, I don't think so.
What would he need in order to do everything that he wants to do within the next 4 years?
Yeah, I see where you're going.
Do you?
Yeah, you thinking he's basically doing all the things that he needs to do so he can crush dissent and intimidate anyone who might oppose his agenda.
Just look at the way he treats reporters that are on his payroll.
Yeah. No, that's I guess that that does make sense. If he's got if he wants something on the table there so that he can, as we said earlier, the process is often the punishment. He doesn't necessarily need to put people in jail for 20 years. All he needs to do is get a few stories out there that if you speak out against this, you're going to have your home ransacked at 2 a.m. and there's not a goddamn thing you can do about it.
Average person does not want
No,
to
they don't want to deal with that shit.
See,
so yeah.
I'm not saying I would like to go through it, but if it did happen to me, you would give me all the content I've ever need.
Oh yeah.
So
live stream while it's happening. We got the guy.
Bro, zing a zing zing. I have a camera there. I have two more there. I have GoPros.
We would definitely be
I'd live stream this shit. I would live stream this shit.
Just text me. They're ransacking me. Let's go live. All right.
Yeah.
Me too, bro. Yeah, you guys are the problem. They're trying to. Sylvie says, "Hope for the best, prepare for the worst."
Yeah, sorry, man. I'm just switching. Come on.
Joe says, "Yeah." So Sylvie, that's just great. Advice in general, and especially in this moment. Joe says, "You guys are the problem they're trying to solve." Yeah, and I think you're on.
That's what it sounds. Yeah.
No, I don't. Yeah, just not necessarily us personally, but people like us who are just out there asking these questions, who are speaking out against them. And I think, I definitely detect a strong authoritarian streak in Mark Carney, just the way he speaks, the way he, and so it would at all shock me if this is his attempt to have some sort of tool he can use. That because just from a pure legislative perspective, I don't see there's no obvious solution or problem that this bill is trying to solve. You can do a lot of the fentanyl things, you can do a lot of the immigration things without the other stuff, without warrantless searches, without the officer will have free access to any part where this package was found its way, whether stored, loaded, packed, what have you. So that gives them a whole lot of power, and it can be used. And one thing we know about governments is if they give themselves a power, they're going to use it.
Do we still have a few minutes? I ran out of stuff I wanted to talk about, but as I was looking at my X, because the vote of non-confidence is technically today, so I wanted to see if it was up. If we have results, I couldn't see anything. But I found a video that both you and I will probably really enjoy.
Sure.
I don't know if you heard about this. I just read kind of a headline earlier. I haven't looked into it yet. But Home Depot is trending right now on X because of what Olivia Chow, the mayor of Toronto, said. She is asking the public to boycott Home Depot. An elected official, the mayor of fucking Toronto, is supposedly asking people to boycott Home Depot. There's a video right here.
Why?
I haven't watched it.
Okay.
I just said there's a video right there. I haven't watched it. Fuck. I don't know.
Right, let's do it.
We'll discover it at the same time. Okay.
Ooh, it's exciting.
Olivia Child. There are best videos, I think, is when we both react. So let's
I like
see.
that. Let's do it.
Now, we've all seen the depressing news. Pride Toronto have lost some corporate sponsor because they just don't know who they are. They're short-sighted. They don't know who they are. And the first round of corporate cuts, about $300,000, the city of Toronto said, you know what? We're going to come to the table. We will provide a grant that is $350,000 and every year for 5 years, 62% increasing the funding by 2027.
By the way, your property taxes are going up to 40%. Who the fuck?
Now,
these idiots.
Then there's the security costs, and then there are now Google and what? Okay, we won't even. Okay, I know. I hate telling them.
What the fuck is she talking
She's
about?
she's retarded.
Yeah. There are other choices. Anyway, shop Canadian, shop local. No. Yeah. Yes. We are not the 51st state. Are you kidding? We are proud Torontonians, right? Yeah, absolutely. So we have another round of funding that you heard about. Yes, another $2 million to help out with the funding need because of security and all that concern.
Yeah,
So,
seems like it.
we at the city are stepping up.
What the fuck did I just watch?
That's and she didn't say it there, but I did see it somewhere else in the same speech because she was still,
depressing.
yeah, it's that she did ask for a boycott of Home Depot, and I think it was because they stopped funding Pride. So she fucking went out and spent, what'd she say, $300,000 for 5 years. So that's $2 million, give or take. And that's what people are so done with just far left fucking activists. They're so convinced that their way is right that they think like it couldn't possibly be that people are just sick of having this shit shoved down their throats all the time. The only reason why any company would stop funding Pride is because they don't know themselves. They're full of hate. It couldn't possibly be that they're listening to their customers and their customers saying, we don't want this shit. All the normal gays are out there saying, we don't want this shit. The only people who want this shit are the men who think they're women and the fucking furries who are being walked around there on dog leashes. Nobody wants this shit shoved down. Literally, nobody cares who you have sex with. Nobody cares what you do in the privacy of your own bedroom. We do not want public funds going to spend on nonsense that we don't need shoved down our throats anymore. It is ridiculous.
350 grand every year for the next 5 years is what she just said. All that video
As if it's a good
me,
thing.
No, but hold on. All that video is giving me is the want to go buy something at Home Depot to support them for not participating in Pride. That's all I'm getting from this video. This to me was an advertisement for all the guys out there that don't support Pride. Go buy something at Home Depot. Like this is all. I'm gonna go find my newest Mexican to do my lawn at Home Depot. I'm just kidding.
Yeah,
just a joke. Just a joke. Just a joke. But all saying that, all that's giving me is the idea is the want to go to Home Depot. Do I need something? I'm gonna have to text the wife. Do we need something at Home Depot that I can pick up on the way back from the gym? I don't care. What do you need at Home Depot? What do you need that I could buy at Home Depot?
Anything. As Mad Dog says, it's a hardware store, not a sex store. And that's what I mean. Like these fucking freaks, these activists, they think everyone else has to bow down. Everyone else needs to center this weirdo shit in their lives. And if we're not, then they should be boycotted. It's so ridiculous. The fact of the matter is, the corporate world doesn't give a shit about any of this. I'll show you first and foremost why they're actually doing this. And you can see it in this one picture here. Oh, can you
hold on. You still have let me just show you. I want to piss you off even more. Hold on. Before you do, that just popped on my feed. That's just for you, bro. This is the police of York Region.
What are you idiots doing? Oh my God, no.
So but look at the caption. York Region saw a 92% increase in shooting and 106% increase in carjacking. Meanwhile, York Regional Police is dancing to Indian music.
These idiots, man. Like I can't. Like I said, if we had hair, it would have ripped out long enough. But this is fundamentally why the corporate world has been pushing this shit so hard. For money. It helps their bottom line because up until very recently, it has helped their bottom line. People actually will pay more to virtue signal to get their stupid gay Vaseline instead of the regular Vaseline. But they are corporations. They care about
Stop
profits.
it. The one on the right actually slides better.
Yeah. It's slipperier, the gay one.
It's slipperier.
But
You know why I buy that one? Because every time I open it, hey.
But
Hey.
the thing is, they're worried about the bottom dollar, and they're not stupid, and they know that the culture has shifted away from it. It doesn't help their bottom dollar anymore, and now they're not doing it, and that is why they're not doing it. It's not because they don't know themselves, but they're so convinced, these activists, that anybody who sees things differently than them, there's something wrong with them. And that's why people are so sick of them. We just don't want it shoved down our throats anymore. Literally, nobody cares. Nobody cares who you have sex with. No one's out there going around attacking gay people for being gay. Literally, nobody cares. We just don't need it shoved down our throats all the fucking time. Should we take a couple of these
Now I
comments
really
here?
want to go buy something at home.
Some gay Vaseline?
I already have that. I mean,
Oh, yeah.
what? What?
Is there any non-gay Vaseline? Nick says she's nuts. That's right. Wise guy says friggin'.
I'm texting my wife right now. Do we need something at Home Depot?
Wise guy says friggin' chow. I don't know how much this woman makes me want to hurl my cookies every time. To think this is Jack Layton's ex-wife. You know what? You're right. I forgot about that. I had forgotten that she was Layton's ex-wife.
She's a woman?
Layton must be rolling in his grave. Chris H says Olivia Chow might be telling people to boycott Home Depot because Trump is pushing a very anti-left agenda and corporations are giving into that. So she won't fund Pride. Yeah, that's what's going on. And
100%.
we're just saying
100%.
that is ridiculous that's what it is. And all they're doing is just not funny. They're really just going back to being neutral. They're certainly not saying they're anti-gay in any way. They're just not funding it. Like all this gay pride stuff has become a very political act. It's not a neutral act. The far left thinks these are neutral things, but they are not. They're taking a stand on a political opinion. And of course, everyone's entirely in their rights to take whatever political opinion they want. But don't be surprised when people are just sick of having corporations and their public spaces shoving this agenda down their throats.
Listen to this one. I just found that on X.
Okay.
The Elbows Up cult wants you to boycott Home Depot because it is an American company and promote Rona instead. Let's analyze this logically, something lefties aren't able to do. Rona was bought by Lowe's back in 2016. So basically, you're still supporting an American company. It's but this is how stupid we are, right? Okay.
Yeah.
So if I can't go to Home Depot, I can't go to Rona. Can I go to, is Canadian Tire still Canadian?
I think it is. Yes.
Is
but
it? Let's
I
see.
believe it. I believe that it is. I believe that it is, but
Because
yeah.
it says Canada in the title?
No. I think that it is. But of course, even if it was though, even if they had been sold, they would still be called Canadian Tire. Like they definitely would keep that name. Mad Dog says
the cultureless store. Because we don't
Yes.
have a culture, right? As per
we don't
Justin
have a culture.
Trudeau's
We don't have an
the
identity.
cultureless tire.
Yeah.
No, but you're right. Canadian Tire is a Canadian company. It's owned by Canadian Tire Corporation.
Which is Canadian.
Out
Mad
of
Dog said-
Toronto. Oh, but Jesus, it's out of Toronto.
Uh-oh.
Maybe Chow's gonna stop shopping at Home Depot. Hold on. First, she's gonna use the trick from Pelosi. Knowing that this is happening, she's gonna buy shares in Canadian Tire.
Of course. And then
She's gonna give a speech saying, "Don't support Home Depot. You should support Canadian Tire."
Sylvie.
This is how you make money, Rob Ford.
multicultural tire. Yep, that's right. Diversity tire. Mad Dog,
I like that. Diversity Tire. I like it.
Mad Dog says they don't want to force our lifestyle on them, but they will force theirs on us. Yeah, and that's kind of the way that the far left does this, where everyone else is just saying, "Hey, we just want to be left alone," and they're saying, "Why are you attacking us?" You know what I mean? Like if you don't actively go after promote everything that they believe, they think you're attacking them, and it's nonsense. They're like children.
If you don't speak out, that means you're for them.
Exactly. Do you remember the Seinfeld episode with, so you don't want to wear the ribbon? You don't want to
Oh,
wear
I
the
fucking
ribbon?
love their ribbon.
Yes. And it was so good. It was
Yeah,
so
sorry, it's not the ribbon, it's the ribbon. It's
yeah,
the ribbon. Because the
And
guy
Kramer-
was a flaming homosexual.
Yeah, and Kramer's like, I just don't want to wear the ribbon. Oh, so you're against it? You're against breast cancer? No, I'm not. I don't want to wear the ribbon. I don't, and that like that's what the left doesn't understand. Like we already know they do not understand human nature whatsoever. But people don't like to be forced to do things. They don't like to be at the barrel of a gun. Is this it? Yes. This is
son of a bitch.
Yeah,
Son of a bitch, you had to say it. I'm gonna play.
This is such a great
Cosmo Kramer.
Okay, you're checked in.
Yeah, thank you.
Here's your AIDS ribbon.
No thanks.
You don't want to wear an AIDS ribbon?
No,
But you have to wear an AIDS ribbon.
I have to.
Yes.
Yeah, see, that's why I don't want to.
But everyone wears the ribbon. You must wear the ribbon.
What you are? You're a ribbon bully.
Hey, you, come back here. Come back here and put this on.
Elaine and her sponges. She's got like a war chest.
Oh,
full
that
of
was
them.
the
Well, I don't see
same.
why you can't just use condoms.
Oh, no. Condoms are for single. There's a lot of pressure.
Hold on. That's the.
Hey, where's your ribbon? Oh, I don't wear the ribbon.
You don't wear the ribbon? Aren't you against AIDS?
Yeah, I'm against AIDS. I mean, I'm walking, aren't I? Just don't wear the ribbon.
Who do you think you are?
Put the ribbon on.
Hey, Cedric, Bob, this guy won't wear a ribbon.
Who? Who doesn't want to wear the ribbon?
Do you remember that? Do you remember those guys?
Oh yeah.
They steal the armoire from the side of the street when Elaine is trying to go get some soup, Nazi soup. Oh, fuck, I love this show.
Right.
This
Yeah,
is such a great fucking show.
And that's so bang on because he's literally there, gone out of his way, leaving his home to go and march for AIDS, but they're attacking. You're against AIDS because he doesn't wear the ribbon. It's about power. It's about forcing people to do what you want and control. And that look at her face. Yeah, like that.
No. Tell me this does not look like a woman that would have pink hair today.
Oh,
That's the only thing missing.
You know it would.
She is the exact picture of the people going after this type of bullshit today. Like
exactly.
Seinfeld was a genius.
Yeah.
Him and Larry Bird predicted the future.
They pigeonholed this whole ideology so well. It was so perfect. It was way ahead of its time. Devil Zeus says, "Is that the no soup for you?" No, that's the soup Nazi. That's a different one. That's a great one too, though.
They're all great. I've seen them all. I could watch Seinfeld play.
It's
start from the first one up to the last one. Fuck, I think I might start doing that.
It's such
it's been a while.
It's such a good show. So we got a few minutes left. I wanted to just have a quick show you guys one more thing. I thought see what you guys think about this. I mean, I know what Sylvie will think about it for sure.
That sounds if you stop there, I think it's a dick pic. I want to show you guys something.
Yeah, I want to show you guys. See what you think about it. Yeah,
Sylvie would think about it.
Sylvie would think. Yeah,
hey,
exactly.
What the fuck?
What do you guys think?
Not that type of show, bro.
Is it the see? Ignore that it's curved to the left a little bit, but no, it's about. Do you guys remember the story? Well, not remember the story. It's only happened yesterday, the day before. The guy, the Free Palestine guy who went and threw Molotov cocktails at old Israeli women.
Yes.
So his fucking ICE went, because he's got 5 children who are legal. They went to his house, booted the door down, and fucking are deporting them last night, as early as tonight. The wife and 5 children of illegal migrant Mohammed Solomon were detained by ICE agents earlier today and are now facing expedited removal. According to the White House, they could be deported as early as tonight. The expedited removal would not require hearing in front of an immigration judge, meaning their deportation could happen rapidly. I just think that's, man, no wonder, hate Trump or hate him, man, like that's decisiveness. Like this motherfucker goes out here and he's throwing Molotov cocktails at Jewish people because of his ideology. You know, his kids have it too. They're here illegally. Get the fuck out. Joe.
Yeah, I think I did. I think I did call him Larry.
Yeah,
David.
you meant Larry David, I think.
Larry David, Larry Bird. They're both tall, skinny white guys. Same thing.
but yeah, no,
I think I did say Larry Bird though.
Yeah, you did. Yeah, Sylvie. No, I'm definitely not picking on it. I just know what stories get you going. It's just like I think everyone knows what stories get everyone going here. But
that's basically the definition of picking on her.
Yeah,
you're saying I don't want to pick on you, but I know exactly what pisses you off. Like,
yeah. The dick pics are later, but yeah. I'll put those on the Discord server. But no, I saw it. I was like, wow, man, that's super decisive. Like, could you imagine? I can't imagine I can't imagine any other president just saying, I really like that sort of just fuck it attitude. Like, I don't like Trump, but man, like one thing I just wish other politicians would pick up on is that people respect that. No, they were not illegal illegals. They were just flat illegal.
Illegal
illegals. Yeah. Chris H says, well, now Seinfeld thinks it's cool to bomb Palestinians, so I would not want to be cool with his show. I don't know. I don't know Seinfeld's attitude on that issue, but I think I mean he is Jewish, so I'd imagine he's probably got. Yeah, I could probably guess where his take is going to lie. But I mean, at the end of the day, that's one of the things I really don't like about the left. That whole attitude, like, well, if someone says something I don't like, I can't enjoy something else. Like, you got to be able to separate the art from the artist. I mean, a song is just a song. It doesn't mean that you agree with everything that artist says.
That means I can't watch any movies that I grew up watching.
Yeah, a TV show is just a TV show. Yeah, I just think that's once you go down that road, it's just it's already a really unhealthy way to engage in politics because you don't have to agree with everything someone says to enjoy a TV show or a song or a painting or a book that they've played a role in. And I just if you just don't want to, if you want to say, oh, I don't want to give my money to that person, that obviously that's a fair decision. But I do think I haven't heard Seinfeld's specific takes on that opinion. I'm sure he's pro-Israel. I'd be surprised if he says he's okay with like just bombing, innocent civilians. He might be asking for the hostages to be returned, but to me, that's a reasonable thing. At the end of the day, though, I think if you're here illegally and you commit a terrorist act and your kids are here illegally, I think you should be expedited quickly because there's a real good chance that those kids are also going to have similar leanings. And at the end of the day, just, if you want your family to stay in and they're illegal, try not to attract attention by, committing terrorist acts.
I have no problems with you wanting
to watch anything Seinfeld. No, and Chris, and I understand and I appreciate your comments, and you've become a pretty good, valuable contributor to the show. And I don't want to make it seem like that was attacking you personally. I was more just riffing off what you were saying because that is absolutely an attitude that sort of permeates the left. This idea that you can't, if you agree with someone on one thing or you like a piece of art that they produce, then you have to agree with everything that they believe politically. And I just wanted to push back on that sort of wherever you see it. Short Circuit says, we understand this is not good.
But hold on. Guys, you guys are lefties. Imagine me. If you guys don't watch people you don't like, imagine what I can do. I can't watch anything anymore because everything's done by fucking leftists. Every single piece of entertainment out there for the past 20 years has been done. Okay, maybe 15 years have been done by fucking massive lefties. That means I can't do anything anymore. I don't even think I can read books anymore. Like, are you serious? Like, yeah, at one point, I get it. I'm a big fan of Ben Stiller. I love his earlier stuff. He's a massive twat. Massive fucking twat. But I can still watch his stuff just saying, you know what? It was funny. I won't watch his new stuff. I won't. I just won't. Same thing as Seinfeld. You know what? I paid to go and see him live. It sucked. It was bad. He's such a bad comedian in real life.
Really, eh?
He's exactly, the skips that you see at the end of his show.
The beginning and the end.
That's him.
Yeah.
That's him.
Yeah.
He's boring. I like Andrew Schultz. I like that type of racist fucking
Well,
joke.
and
He doesn't
isn't
care.
Andrew Schultz a lefty or a liberal? He's pretty left leaning.
He's an in-between type of guy. Yeah, he's shifting as we're seeing. But again, I think he's one of those that is still technically a leftist, but the left has gone so far left that he's kind of stuck in the middle now.
Yeah.
But all to say that even a guy like Seinfeld, I don't even like his comedy. I just like the show. The show is brilliant. The show is absolutely fucking brilliant. But at the same time, man, can you have values? Like Sylvie's saying, would you go to a concert of a band that you really like?
That's a good question.
3 years ago, but because of the whoop whoop, I wouldn't. On that, I wouldn't.
But what if, like as Sylvie said, they requested them 3 years ago, but no longer do now? Like
I wouldn't give them my money.
Go?
No.
Okay.
100% no.
So I mean, I would. I wouldn't. I wouldn't.
Yeah, but like you weren't impacted by it.
No. I just mean in general. I would just. It wouldn't. No matter what my politics were, it just wouldn't. It wouldn't. If I really liked the band, it wouldn't matter to me what the personal politics were. But
hold on, let me just take that one because that one's addressed to my comment. That's because right winger have no imagination. Actually, that's because right wingers are too busy fucking working. We don't sit around trying to imagine stuff and create art. Sorry, we have other things to do. But actually, Joe, you're kind of right though. At the same time, have you watched? Like, I want to encourage right-leaning individuals. God damn, some of the movies that come out, you're like. So
did you like Civil War?
I think unfortunately, I believe that you need to be crazy to be an actor, and that's probably why most actors are leftists.
I think there's definitely something to that. I think there's definitely something. Like
you're not sane. An actor's not sane. You're never gonna convince me that most actors out there are sane individuals. They're fucking nuts. Just look at one picture of Joe. You think he looks sane holding that guitar? That's the advantage of having the microphone, motherfucker.
Yeah. That's really funny. So Joe says, I don't hate Ted Nugent because of the rabid right-wing pants crapping draft sergeant pedophile. I hate him because he's a no-talent, musically illiterate hack. And that's a good reason to hate someone, the no-talent, musically illiterate hack.
Sure.
I mean, I think, I just think, it's funny though what you say. I think obviously there's always exceptions, but I think there probably is something to it. There's probably a reason why, people who have like that sort of wildly creative artistic mind probably do tend to skew left wing because they are a bit crazy and nutty, and they also tend to skew just fucking crazy in general.
Crazy. Most artists are crazy.
It's a stereotype, but it's one that's obviously, like most stereotypes, has some basis in reality. But
it's like to say most politicians are narcissists.
Yes.
I don't think, and I don't care you're a lefty or a righty. Most politicians are narcissists in the same way that most actors are fucking crazy.
100%.
You have to be crazy to have that much imagination. And by crazy, I mean you're not normal. By not normal, I mean you're crazy. And by being crazy, that means you're a lefty. So yes, Joe, you're absolutely right. See, that's called logic. Something the left doesn't have a lot of. I'm just kidding. I hope everybody Joe knows I'm fucking with him. Yeah. But for the people out there that don't know this, I fuck with Joe any given fucking time that I can.
Any chance you can. Like Therese says, Seinfeld's just a good show. I'm not sitting down to be his friend. And those are two perfectly. Obviously, everyone can do whatever the fuck they want for whatever reason. I just personally think it's not healthy to sort of get too involved and like to engage with politics in that way. I think you want to be able to separate the politics from a piece of art that you like, whatever that might be.
See, Joe's last comment, just put his last comment. This to show how much we can rip on each other and still agree.
Yeah, for sure. There's a reason, like there's a very fine line between genius and madness. And I think that's been well established throughout human history.
But read his comment for the listener.
Joe Stradamus says, no doubt, Nico, creative talent is a cousin of insanity. Yeah, that's a great point. And I think
it's a very creative sentence.
Oh yes, I see what you're saying. So yeah, Joe.
Exact Joe.
Yeah, Joe. Yeah, bit of a. Every accusation is a confession. Van Gogh was Van Gone. Yeah, motherfucker's cutting his ears off. I mean, it's all throughout history for sure. There is a high correlation between madness and genius. I got to go bring my kid to his fucking shift over at the mall. Did you want to stick around for 10 minutes and shoot the shit here with the guys and girls, or do you want to pin it right now?
We'll put a pin into it. I think we're at a point where we got to fuck with people, so it was good. I enjoyed it. But no, I think you can close it off, man.
All right, Chris, final comment says, RoboCop began to have a pretty left-wing message by the second film. The left has a critique of power, economics, and capitalism. Yeah, I mean, that's a good point, too. Actually, I haven't watched the RoboCop movies in a long time. I should get back. I love those movies. But that's old, man. It is. Again, guys, just this last few minutes, I think shows one of the strengths of the show. We can all, we don't all sit on the same place on the spectrum, and yet we can all rip each other and fucking drag each other through the mud, and yet do it respectfully in a way that we're all still friends. Guys, you could have been anywhere in the world today, and you chose to be here with us, and we appreciate that. We've got to gonna have to cut her about 10 minutes early today, but if you like what you see here, if you want to support the show, please think about becoming a member on YouTube. That will give you guys access to the Discord server, and of course, you will support the show here. Other than that, Joe says, "Bite me." Sylvie, thanks, guys. Don't use gay Vaseline. That's actually great advice. Actually, I feel like the gay Vaseline is probably the one you want. Hey, I'm going to buy. It was a lot of fun today. We'll check you tomorrow. Big ups to, was it Cheryl or Robin that posted Cheryl for posting Bill C-2 in the Discord server, and that was made up the bulk of the content that we discussed here today. So that just kind of shows you what kind of influence that you can have in the show over on the Discord server, but you got to be a member first. Other than that, guys, we will catch you tomorrow. Be safe, have fun, and we will see you for the Thursday show at the same time and place. Peace.